What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland. He's Tommy Marquez. I had to point the right way on the screen. Lauren Khalil traveling today. Tommy, how are you, man?
Yes, she is traveling to, I don't want to say to her doom because that's a little too hyperbolic, because she's going to High Rocks, I think.
Oh,
But
man.
I think this might be the one that she signed up to do.
All right. Nice.
So that may be the case. So you may have to pray for her a little bit. But yeah, it feels a little weird not having football this week, huh?
Yeah, I know. It does.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Great season. You know, they're one of the 4 best teams in the league. What are you going to do? That's pretty good. Getting a step closer every year. So next year when the Super Bowl is back in Los Angeles, they're going to be there. So anyway, today we're talking with Adrian Bozman. He is the competition director for CrossFit, for those of you that don't know. Boz, for those of you watching this, you're going to notice that his video was not there because he is in the middle of Tennessee. They were hammered by some pretty bad storms. He does not have internet, but he was able to get his phone to connect. We had a little bit of problem with that, getting that to work, but we got about a good 30 minutes in with Boz and talked about the Open. I talked about semifinals, his thoughts on programming, things like that. So it was a really good conversation. But before we get to that, we want to thank our sponsor for today, and that is Thirdzy. And hopefully Lauren packed the Thirdzy because she's going to need it if she's doing High Rocks. If you're looking to up your sleep and recovery game, you want to check out Thirdzy's Rest and Recovery Collagen. You can go to Thirdzy.com. That's THIRDZY.com. You can use our code TEF and you will save 20% on their Rest and Recovery Collagen, and you will improve how you sleep and you will optimize your recovery while you are sleeping. It does not have any melatonin in it, so that means it is not habit forming. It's got stuff like GABA, L-theanine, magnesium. Those are ingredients that are included to help calm your central nervous system so you get to sleep faster, stay asleep longer, and get the most out of the sleep that you do get. And with that collagen protein, listen up, Masters athletes, you need that, especially you Masters athletes. Like if you're wearing a lot of neoprene in the gym, I'm talking to you. Like you need to get that collagen protein in your system at night to help you rebuild them joints that you're abusing during the day.
Yeah, so you're not going when you get out of bed.
I mean, you're just minimizing that groan. So go to Thirdzy.com, use the code TEF, check out their Rest and Recovery Collagen, and you will up your sleep and recovery game. Okay, without any further ado, here is our interview with competition director for CrossFit, Adrian Bozman. Let's welcome in CrossFit competition director, our good friend Adrian Bozman, who is going to be represented, if you're watching this, by the letter B in the upper right-hand portion of your screen. Boz, how you doing, man? I know you've had a rough time there in Tennessee with some power outages and stuff.
Hey, man, I'm doing all right. Yeah, brought to you by the letter B. I'm doing great, man. We lost power for a couple days there, but it came back on. So we are warm and dry. The same cannot be said for some of my neighbors still. So in the scheme of things, man, we're doing all right. And apologies to your viewers and listeners that I can't be on video. We've had internet problems all week. The internet's not back up and networks are slow here. So I haven't been able to get a good signal with video for anything. So you get the pulsating B, as you said earlier, Sean.
Yeah, could have used another word there, but we were trying to keep it relatively PG.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we're coming up on the Open. I know you've been involved in this since the beginning. How do you guys continue to keep this fresh after all these years?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's funny. I was just talking to your friend of mine, Tyson Oldroyd, earlier today, and we were taking a little trip down memory lane and talking about some of our favorite memories. And, it really hit me talking to him. I was like, it is still so possible. And really, it should be something that anybody who's doing the Open should take upon themselves to go out and do something creative with it and find their own Open rival. Don't be afraid to reach out to that person that you've been stalking on the leaderboard for a couple of years now, and just shoot them a DM. Like people are more accessible than you think. Find that gym rival and get after it. And so like the novelty is interesting because if you're talking about old crusty dudes like us who've been doing it year over year, well, yeah, I mean it's going to be something that we expect, but I think we also have to keep in mind that a lot of the demographic doing the Open is like, there are a lot of first timers. There are a lot of people that this is their second and third year. And so, in that case, it's just novel by them doing it. But for us, I think there are there's ways that you can do that or offer that to your community. If you're somebody who's running an affiliate, offering those intramural experiences, supporting your people through maybe their newer opens. That's what I think ends up being the novelty for those that have more experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like your role almost shifts more, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And where's the line for you in terms of trying to create a cool and unique experience for the entirety of the people participating in the open, while like you said, you have this like anchor of memories of all these cool times to try and build off and kind of replicate, maybe innovate, is that the correct word? And creating that experience and having that be a common thread each and every year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the question is in there.
Yeah, I probably could have phrased that better, but like, how do you find balance between, like, you have all these memories, right, of like what the open is and trying to make sure you capture that, but also needing to kind of, maybe do something unique and different each time. Kind of maybe a little bit of what Sean said, but I was kind of drawn in by you touching on some of those, memories of the old days of the open, and really trying to like kind of maintain that and create that experience for the newcomers.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are going to create those by signing up and doing it. You know what I mean? Like those memories
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't exist if we just hadn't done the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I encourage anybody to do. Like it's easy to live in this weird nostalgic world where you think that, well, if we went back in time, it would be that thing again. And it's like, well, that's not the way that works. But the way that you do make those memories and the way that you do look back and say, man, those were the good old days, is by signing up and doing it. No such thing exists otherwise. So that's what I would encourage people to do. As far as like, I think we have a responsibility to make sure that the open is what it is supposed to be, which is a huge throwdown. It's a big communal celebration, and it is the starting point for the season. We have some smaller innovations as far as like, hey, there's some cool stuff in the affiliate toolkit. It's awesome that affiliates can buy these bulk codes and gift them out to their members. Resources that we can make it easier for people to participate en masse like that. That's kind of the innovation, but the nuts and bolts of it, like it should be what it is supposed to be, which is exactly that, a big mass participation party that you can feel good about jumping in and throwing down.
What makes a good open workout?
Oh man, a good open workout, in my opinion, is one that you look at it and you're like, yeah, I could probably do that. And then you get through, a third of it, half of it, and you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm making that time cap. But it hooks you just enough that you're like, I think I can take a swing. I don't know if I'm going to finish it, but I think I can get some points on the board. That's what I think makes the most compelling open workout is something that you're like, it's just within reach, or maybe just out of reach. But you feel compelled to take a swing at it. Those are my favorite open workouts.
Yeah. Do you have one in particular that sticks out?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have a couple elements like maybe that stand out that were a part of certain workouts?
I was talking about this a couple weeks ago. I can't remember with who, but I was saying that one of my favorite styles of open workout was it was like almost a choose your own adventure, where there were a bunch of wall balls and muscle ups, and I can't remember if that year was double unders or rowing calories. I'm getting them confused in my head. But there was just a big number of each one of them to do, and you could tackle it any way that you wanted. And so if you're somebody who's still working on muscle ups, you could kind of wait to the end and maybe hopefully get one under the buzzer, Or if you had all of those movements under your belt, you could come up with a strategy and, do 10 rounds for time or whatever. So that was, I thought, really cool because it allowed so many people to play, even though there might have been some things in there that were out of reach for somebody who's a little bit more intermediate.
Yes.
I think that was 20.5, right? It was like,
I think so.
Yeah, it had like rowing on that. I loved that one.
It was cool.
That was awesome.
And it was fun to see how people approached it, And then I think that one was like the redoer's nightmare because you're like, okay, well, Sean did it this way. I could definitely go back and take another swing at it using the Sean style, and maybe I'd come out a couple reps ahead,
Yeah, the worst is you sweat your ass off and you're laying on the floor and you got like 2 more reps. But hey, you know what? You look at the leaderboard, you're like, hey, you know what? I was 5,748th and now I'm 5,652nd. You know, like, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that one almost felt like the more information. There was like a possibility of too much information because I watched someone do it and I was like, "Oh, that's a really good idea." Then I saw someone else do it a different way. I'm like, "Oh, that's a really good idea." And suddenly I'm like in my own head a little bit. Like, here's 4 different ways I could do this differently. Like, which way do I go? And that part of the twist, I love it. And at this point of the year, right? Like everyone's kind of counting down to the start. We're about a month or so out. What does this look like for you in your current role as far as like, you know, getting ready for the Open and, you know, both from competing and making sure everything's running smoothly?
Yeah, I mean, for me and a large portion of my team, kind of professionally, it's a little schizophrenic feeling almost, because obviously the Open is the focus. You know, we've got this huge event looming, but we're also in full scale production around some of the other events that are fast following. So quarterfinals being right there behind it, and then the online semis coming down the pipe. We're also working really closely with a lot of the event directors from this year's semifinals, the live competitions, and then the divisional finals. So with all of those in the pipeline, it's like, oh yeah, the Open's the big focus, but we're already looking 2 stages past too. So it's kind of this split personality of making sure everything's in line for the Open and that we're on track there, but all that stuff that's coming, you know, behind it has to have the attention it's due as well.
Yeah. You mentioned that there are a lot of, you know, first time Open participants, maybe second time, who are kind of relatively new to this, who might not know sort of how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Yeah.
How does take us through the life cycle of an Open workout from its inception to here we go and we're going to announce
it. Oh boy. Well, there's been a couple different ways that sausage has been made over the years. You know, there's been years where it's exclusively Dave, and he's got the full reins and he's putting all those workouts together. There's been years where I've had a little more input, and there's been years where we bounce ideas off of each other. And this is one of those years where, you know, we've bounced a lot of ideas off of each other and kind of molded to what we've got right now. So there's some influence from him in this year's Open. There's some influence from me. You know, some good spirited debate as far as what the final reps and movements need to be. And yeah, it's kind of a collaborative effort. And then on top of that, once we finally get past the, okay, we've done this on paper exercise, then we throw a couple of athletes at it and take a look at, okay, does this actually get what we hope for in a couple different ways, right? Is it going to be an appropriate test for the masses, but also is it going to be enough of a stage that the best can race and show their skill to qualify for that next stage?
Mm-hmm.
And where does the repeat fit in all of that? Because it is a very important, I would say you can't tell the story of the Open without the inclusion of the repeat element. And there's, like you said, a lot of people that they'll be doing this for the first time, and on the outside looking in, they may see a repeat of the workout and they're like, well, I kind of was hoping for something new.
Yeah, I mean, the repeat is it's the benchmark. It's center to the methodology in that regard. So it's one of those eternal questions. How am I doing, and how will I know if I don't hit something that I haven't already got a data point on? So that repeat element can be really important to just, you know, especially if you're newer to the game, you know, you'd be surprised at how much progress you can make in a year or two. And so if you have something that comes up, and maybe it was a workout that came up in your first Open, and this is now your third or fourth Open, you can really surprise yourself with how much progress you've made, even if day to day it doesn't appear that way. So that can be really important, and it can also be really important more broadly to kind of look at, like, all right, where are the highest level athletes in the sport today? You know, when we introduced the workout 5, 6, 7 years ago, okay, we have the data from that. We know what the results were. Well, today in 2026, how much further are we? Are we any further? Like, what is the level of the athlete that we're seeing at the top there too? So a couple different relevant things that can be seen through a repeat.
How do you accomplish in 3 weeks what you used to be able to accomplish in 5 weeks? And I guess what I mean by that is, like, there is a lot of different divergent opinions about what the Open should be and whether it's a complete test or what and I always liken to math, where can you add and can you subtract? Okay, great. You can do that now. You can move on to the more advanced stuff. It's not the whole test of the math book. It's just the basics. But how do you test those basics in 3 weeks as opposed to when you used to be able to throw more people in 5 weeks and have, I guess, a better picture of who should move on?
Yeah, I like that analogy of, hey man, this is a 101 course. This is not the advanced calculus. I think that analogy fits really nicely, and that's pretty much it. I mean, when we take a look at like what the open needs to serve, I think it's easy to fall into this purist mindset, and people do this all the time, right? They fall into the purist mindset that suits where they are or what's helpful to them. So if you're a high level athlete, your purist mindset will tell you that, oh, it needs to be 10 tests and it needs to be way more robust and it's not heavy enough and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine, but that's not exclusively what the open is. So then you've put on your affiliate hat and you're like, okay, I'm only looking at this from, my affiliate that has this amount of equipment and these members at this level. Well, there should be no advanced movements and I can't have the space for X, Y, and Z. That purist argument is just as valid. All of them need to be kind of balanced and taken into consideration. So, there's a lot of thinking that goes into how can it express the best across all of these competing demands. And so the short answer is like, well, can you do the same thing in 3 weeks? It's like, well, no, objectively they're different, but can you advance the cadre of athletes that should be moving on in the season? Yes. Can you also do that in a way that the community gets to throw their hat in the ring and get behind this thing that ultimately fuels it for the next year and drives excitement for the season, et cetera? Also, yes. So yeah, I don't think I don't even think it's trying to achieve the same thing as a 5-week open. It's just recognizing that, hey, sometimes you have to balance these demands. And like I said, there's going to be a purist argument from many different vantage points. It doesn't mean that purist point of view has to be the dominant approach.
Yeah.
Where do quarterfinals fit in all of this for you? And what's your kind of personal opinion on that? Because we've had them leave and now they're back. And I know that adjusts how programming goes, how the season flows. I know from an admin perspective, the early years were tough just because the sheer volume of video review and things like that. But what's your thoughts on them coming back this year and being another added stage in the competition season?
Oh, I'm kind of disappointed that we're bringing. No, of course, man, I'm stoked. It's going to be. What did you think my opinion was going to be? It's going to be fun.
I mean, like some people said I'd rather have 5 weeks of the open than open in quarterfinals, right? Like, or quarterfinals could be done in a host of other ways, or there's other ways to filter for the season. And some people didn't like the 20% or the 10%. It just kind of see where it fits in your mind's eye, because we've had it multiple ways since.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy and natural way to get back to things that people were asking for. When we took the quarterfinals away, there was a pretty big outcry around that. People really did love that aspirational nature of it. And so to see it back, like, I hope that people support it. It's one thing for people to talk and say that they want it back. It's another to sign up and do it. So I sincerely hope that they do. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. And I like that it's a fast follow from the open. Like, to your point, those that think that the 5-week open is, the be all and end all. Well, the quarterfinals almost falls that way this year. It's just enough time for us to resolve and then start again. So we got that kind of down week and then we're right back into it. But it should kind of satisfy those people there too. And with that break in competition, meaning, it's a new cycle of people coming in, that sort of thing. It doesn't commit the people that maybe are beginners or aren't just not able to sustain that 5-week cadence. They don't have to feel like that's a necessity to show up and do the 3-week open. So I'm rambling a little bit there, but I do think it does kind of meet both of those demands pretty nicely. And I'm excited to see it. I think, like, this year, I don't know, man, I've been having fun looking at the workouts that we got planned for that. And not to make it about myself, but I'm like, ooh, these do look fun. They're gonna suck though, but it's it's got me fired up as far as like, hey, I want to throw my hat at those, and I hope I make the cut this year.
How, if at all, do the quarterfinals influence what you do or change how you've approached programming for the Open?
They do allow a little bit of progression, knowing that, hey, we do have this competition coming down the pipe that's pretty quick. And, we can reserve some things for that next stage that don't necessarily have to show up in the Open now.
Yeah.
So that's a nice kind of off ramp. It does take some of the pressure off of that. Doesn't mean that the Open can't be a complete picture, but it does allow just a little bit more progression within the season. Honestly, it feels like there's a little more flexibility in that regard.
Yeah.
This kind of goes back to, I guess, the sausage being made a little bit. Like, how often do you throw out ideas and like I guess in the turnaround time in this current state, like, is there space for you to be like at the 11th hour? I think this is a really good ad. Oh, we can push it to quarterfinals, or is it kind of all put together in one go to where it's locked pretty quickly and there isn't much wiggle room? Because I'd imagine in the testing process, you guys come up with some pretty interesting stuff that maybe didn't plan for. Is that?
Oh yeah, for sure. The long and the short of it is, until go, there's always time to refine. Now that doesn't always mean it's easy to pull that off once you've got assets created and people are ready to go on something. But that being said, like, I think the team has the understanding that if we see something and we think it can be polished and made better, then that's what we're going to try to do. I think people have this weird idea that things exist in such a vacuum, and it's like, okay, well, on November 23rd, we programmed the entire season and now we're not going to touch it. It's like, no, man, of course we're going to try to be responsive to what we're seeing out in the community, to things that we think about the programming after we've sat with it for a while. Like, it's important to give yourself that latitude. I'll also say too that, I don't know, man, I think that there's a lot of talk these days around programming, and it's awesome that people are so invested in it. Sometimes I genuinely want to respond to people and say, hey, it's not that sensitive. Like, I think there is a pretty big strike zone as well, especially when you're in some of the earlier qualifying stages. There's room there to have a very effective qualifier without having to, I don't know, make something that is so delicate that changing a couple reps here and there is really going to modify the outcome.
I asked you this about the Open, so I'll repeat the question about the quarterfinals. So what makes a good quarterfinals workout?
Quarterfinal workouts, I think, are just a little bit further out of reach. Like, if a good Open workout is something that you think you can take a swing at and maybe miss the time cap or whatever, I think for and we're talking about the average person that makes quarterfinals here, not the top of the heap. Top of the heap, of course, they are competing with a different mind frame. They are not looking like, hey, can I complete this? It is, how do I dominate this, right? Completely different. But for the average person, those 25 percenters that are, maybe 25 through, I don't know, 7th percent or whatever, it's that next reach. So I think it's something that is going to, a good quarterfinals workout is something that's going to want to compel you to take a swing, but you may be stopped at some point, and that's okay. The goal is to have it just inside that sweet spot enough that you're like, I think most of the competitors can finish it. And if not, they can at least separate themselves by displaying a little bit more skill or aptitude than the person next to them.
Yeah.
So it's really just a little more than the Open.
Yeah.
Just a little more.
It's like if you had addition and subtraction.
Not much, just a little more.
We got multiplication and basic long division, right?
Yeah, there you go. You extend the analogy.
There you go.
Yeah. Boz, you've got so much experience. This is what, you're starting your third decade of CrossFit. Is that fair to say?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I started in 2004. So was that I'm not that old yet. So 2
No, you're starting your third decade. You're starting your third decade.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if I like the way that counting works. It's like at 1 foot in the decade. So it's the whole decade. I don't know, dude.
Where do you draw your creative inspiration from? Like, or whether it's programming, anything that you do in the space, are there places that you regularly look to or are able to kind of pull from at this stage of your career?
Oh boy, man, that's very professional way to frame it. I don't know. I think that like any CrossFitter at heart, like I'm still having fun with these movements and just putting them together in different combinations. I'll say that, you know, it is really cool how many different programmers there are out there and how many different gyms, you know, approach things in different ways. I try to get out locally and do a drop in when I'm on it, and you know, the schedule permits. I try to get out once a week to a different affiliate, and I do draw a lot of inspiration from that to see how different affiliates approach things, and not necessarily even just the, you know, the reps and sets of their workout, but how they approach things with the members they have in that group, how they, you know, navigate the equipment limitations that they've got, things like that. I think are really cool to see, and that's like the problem solving that happens in every affiliate, everywhere, you know, on Earth every day. That's the really cool and creative stuff that I think people don't give a lot of credit to. So I do draw a lot of inspiration from that. But really, it's just, yeah, man, it's the fun of the movements. They're still fun to do. 20 years deep, they're still like, it's still a blast to like hit that clean, you know?
No doubt.
There was a time in the sport in this community where, you know, snatching 135 for men was that's a good challenge. Like, that's a really good challenge.
Still is, Sean, for some of us.
Okay, yeah, fair. But as we have moved, you know, progressed and moved on, what has been the biggest surprise for you, and like on where the most progress has been made, and then how do you continue to push that envelope without going into a spot where it's like, okay, we're getting a little ridiculous now?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to keep the focus on multi-domain activity, you know? I think it's really easy to look at the flashiness of like a barbell 1 rep max, and it's kind of seductive, right? Because it is fun to watch, and it's really, I think, satisfying for people to see that number on the barbell in their training. But then you have to remember, it's like, hey, that's not the name of the game. The name of the game is being generally well adapted. And so I think that is where it's really important to keep your eye on the prize. You know, I think I'm most surprised, and I shouldn't be, at just how much improvement we still see from the athletes year over year. You know, like everybody's still getting better. We haven't, at least from what I'm seeing, I don't think we've seen that like peak where it's like, okay, this is where the athletes are going to be for the next, you know, 5 to 10 years. I think there's still lots of room for people to push the envelope for what we're seeing from the high level CrossFit athlete. And that's surprising, you know.
Where do you think specifically those areas are?
And can I jump in on that too? Because that was actually my next question, is because on this show, I think it was before or after the year that you got to program the games. You mentioned that you felt like there was maybe a development or skills gap on the gymnastics side that maybe hadn't been developed at the same rate that some of the other areas have. And that was something you were interested in exploring. Is there something like that kind of piggybacking off that you see right now?
No, I still feel the same way. I think that that's probably fair to say that, you know, I think people's barbell lifts are still generally at a higher level than some of their, you know, body weight skills. I think that's fair. I would also say that I think some of the like more hardcore endurance end of things is somewhat lacking for some CrossFitters. Now, not all of them. Some of them really have that as a strength, but you know, I think your common ones like a 10K time for a run or something, or like a 5K row, these types of things, I think those kind of more pure, maybe not quite long endurance events, but those style of events, I still think there's lots of room to grow when you look at things like the best in the world at those specific domains. Hey, I hate to preface it, I'm trying to hang on here. My phone is plugged in. It's also dying, and it also just overheated. So I'm trying to hang on here, but I might drop again in a second. I'll try to jump back on if
not a problem.
No worries at all.
What kind of influence or involvement are you going to have in the semifinals that are not the online ones that are directly programmed by you or by CrossFit, I should say?
Yeah, this year we are working really closely with those teams. We have pretty robust programming analysis tools that we have shared with those guys. Honestly, it's a little bit of self-preservation because we've got 15 events that we're trying to give meaningful feedback on their programming and help them, you know, develop it into the best that it can be. So we're working with those guys directly with their programming and the way that they're going to lay out all their events, et cetera. trying to balance that with, obviously we want them to have the creative freedom to make the best event that they want to do. But we're going to have some input there. And then we've also committed to having people from our team at each one of these events as liaisons to help out on the ground there. So we're going to be really kind of beefing up our level of involvement there. And I'm really looking forward to it because, personally, it means I get to get out to a few of these events. And they're always a good time. So you guys know that feeling of, hey, it's all on the line. We're all trying to make it to the big dance. I think it's cool that we'll have the team competition this year too, because to me, that semifinal kind of regional level is the best expression of the team competition. Yeah. It's still like it's high enough stakes that you see some really awesome athletes rise to the challenge, but it's also communal enough that you have people rolling out for their gyms that they might not be able to make that cross-country trip to the games to do. So I don't know. To me, that semifinal level for the games, for the teams, is just a really awesome spectacle. So I'm stoked to be able to get out there to a few more of these events this year.
Yeah, I also feel like the strike zone of athletes is a little bit wider at the semifinal level. You don't necessarily have all these like beefed up super teams or people that are training all the time. You do get some of like this the people that have generally become the fittest they've ever been in an affiliate, and now they get to represent that, which I've always found cool on the team side of things, particularly. The question was like the excitement around having it in the Bay Area. You mentioned Boys Interrupted at the ranch. You mentioned you were mid-sentence of talking about the affiliate gathering at the SAP Center, and then it cut. So
yeah, I got it. Yeah, so we did a pretty full day the other weekend where we went to the ranch. We did some filming with the Boys Interrupted. Saw those guys throw down a couple times at the ranch, which was fun. Always a pleasure to take a trip out there. And then we were able to get to the SAP Center and bring in a bunch of affiliates from around the area to do a little workout on the floor there. It's cool. They covered up the ice, got everybody down there. Super fun to be able to take advantage of the venue like that. And I mean, dude, most people don't get to do something like that, to get out there right on the main stage. So it was really cool. Shout out to Katie Hogan for wrangling that craziness. A lot of people to try to get organized. Super fun little workout that everybody did. And then afterwards, just a bit of an informal the chance to hang out with some of the HQ staff, and then some questions and answer period as well. So just a nice way to connect with the local community there, and to be able to see that and feel that energy so early on. It's really heartening. You know what I mean? Like last year was obviously really it was a tough year to try to get everything back on track and to just try to get people enthusiastic again. Rightly so. I think people need a little bit of time, but this year it seems like people are, they want that kind of back to business. Let's get to the thing. Let's get enthusiastic. So you can kind of feel it at this point.
I don't know if I was talking to you about this or not, and maybe Tommy and I kicked this around with other people, JB or something in the past, but it takes a little while to learn a locale for the games and everything that that location has potentially. And now this is your third one in 3 years. So, how do you get that familiarity with the place when you're only there for, one time now?
Yeah. I mean, anytime you have the opportunity to go back to a venue, you kind of learn the cheat codes for how to get around, what's most efficient, what's the best use of space, et cetera. So without having that luxury, it can be a little bit difficult, but I mean, our team is awesome and very well-versed at this point. So that's helpful. But also, I mean, it really puts the responsibility on us to take as much opportunity as we can to get on site early and often. And so that was another opportunity for some of our team. Like I was talking about, we had the affiliate thing with the at the SAP Center, but that's also another opportunity for our team to get there and take a look around and do some logistical work. So it's just a few more trips out there ahead of time to make sure that you've got your systems dialed. But at the end of the day, that experience matters, and our team is pretty good in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
As a longtime Bay Area resident, is there any like Boz's inside tips on like, hey, you got to go here, maybe try this place when you're in the area? Because like one of the draws is right, San Francisco's there, Oakland's there.
Yeah.
The broader Bay Area is around, and people turn that into their vacation.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there are so many places you could live your entire lifetime in that area and not see it all. So plenty to see and do. I don't want to blow up my San Jose spots. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because where am I
okay.
going to
All
go?
right.
But but I'll say if you're traveling in, you absolutely should do the little the loop. You know, go up to San Francisco,
Yep.
see the sights. I highly encourage people to do the tourist stuff there. It's so fun to ride the cable cars and go to Alcatraz. Like you should do that stuff.
Yeah.
Go down to Santa Cruz, you know what I mean? Go to the boardwalk, hang out at the beach. Like those things are fun, and there's a reason that people are attracted to do that. So come and do that. I would say that kind of the lesser known things to do is take a trip up to the North Bay. You know, like Marin County is just so beautiful, and the coastline up there. If you're into that sort of thing, it is second to none, in my opinion, and it's so close. But it kind of gets overlooked sometimes if you're not sure about how to get around. So if you are traveling in for that event, you know, give yourself some time. The city stuff's fun, but try to get out there too. Just go over the Golden Gate Bridge and get lost a little bit. It's a great time.
What are you looking forward to the most this season?
Oh man, just getting it started. Honestly, it's, you know, there's a lot of churn before the season starts. A lot of kind of what is it? Crossing your T's and dotting your lowercase J's.
Yeah.
And it's always this time of year that I start to get a little bit antsy because you can see everything that's coming and it's going to be fun and everybody's starting to build in enthusiasm. And it's like, all right, let's just get things moving. So honestly, I'm just excited to get that first event happening. You know, my fitness is not ready for it yet, but I am pumped for the end of February to just get going. But that's it. I mean, I don't have anything like crazy specific. Like I love to see everybody back together for the finale. I think the energy for the 20th years is shaping up to be really great. Time will tell, obviously, but yeah, just excited to have another run at it. And I don't know. I think the collection of events that we've brought in as partners is pretty exciting too. You know, some of the newer events in that orbit, like the LATAM Masters Championship, Magic City Games, things like that. Like those are going to be really cool just to see those develop as well.
Yeah.
So I guess I did have some things there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man. Well, listen, we really appreciate you. You got one more, Tommy?
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's necessarily a question, but I don't know. I couldn't help. I more of a statement. I couldn't help but smile when I saw double under crossovers programmed at last year's CrossFit Games, and I haven't had the chance to talk to you about it because I felt like you unnecessarily took some flack for programming those a few years ago, and I think we even said it on this show. Just you wait. This is all set up. It's going to come back at some point, a couple years down the road. And I don't know. I don't think you needed vindication, but I felt like there was a little bit there in seeing them and also seeing the athletes' familiarity with them grow. As well as their performance in that. So
yeah. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's nice to see. I'll say too, hey man, if you're gonna be sitting in the hot seat, don't be surprised when it gets hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
true.
So I get it. You know, people are gonna have strong opinions one way or the other, and that's fine. You know, they should. If they're invested, they're going to. So that I don't fault anybody for that. But I think you've seen this pattern happen so many times in CrossFit Games history where something stretches the athletes just a little bit and there's some strong feelings about it. And then a couple years later, it's like, oh, this is just passe. That's how fast they adapt. So it is fun to see that trajectory, even if, you know, a little rocky at the outset to be the target of some of that criticism, but yep. So be it.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Boz, I think you're doing a hell of a job.
Hey, thanks, Sean.
Man. I think you're great at what you do, and always awesome to see you in person. And appreciate everything you do for the community, man. And thanks for sitting in the hot seat because I know it can be a thankless job at sometimes. But anyway, man, I appreciate you stopping by and working through all the technical difficulties that you're experiencing there in Tennessee to join us.
For sure.
Big thanks to Boz for working through that. Again, we had to cut it short because he was just in a bad spot with his phone and power and everything. So he's doing the best he could, but really appreciate him taking the time to do that. So I love picking his brain. I love getting inside his head and how he sees things and how things, how he programs and what his thoughts on what good programming is. And definitely always love talking to Boz. Looking forward to seeing him in person soon.
Yeah. I really appreciate his perspective that after so many years in this space, feels still so grounded in what he does, and he's still so true to like the core of the methodology.
Mhm.
And when you talk about like virtuosity and doing the like the basic things extremely well, I think that's Boz to a T, man.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's and the community is very fortunate to have him for sure.
All right, well, let's talk about open registration because we're getting close to that. And we're ahead of where we were last year. And if you guys don't know, if you want to get an update on everything going on with the open and follow the registration where it's at, check out Mike Halpin. He's at Known and Knowable on Instagram, and he does a great job of tracking that. So Tommy, where are we with this?
Yeah, so these are some numbers from Halpin a couple days ago. You can also get updated kind of like a bigger picture view with open reports each week from Morning Chalk Up to Nikki Freeman's doing a great job putting that together. Right now, there's a significant increase compared to where we were last year. So as of about 2 days ago, there's 57,000 people registered. That's a 68% increase from this time last year, about 23,000 more than where we were last year at this point. So pretty impressive. It's pretty heavily in favor in terms of the United States as far as countries are concerned. Seems like the US is maybe having a bigger push than Europe right now. But yeah, still an improvement on numbers. And if they're able to get north of that 300,000 mark, I believe, and showcase an improvement from last year, then the prize purse, as far as the winner is concerned, is going to be, I think they said it'll be the highest ever.
Nice.
So let's see. If the open registration, yes, if the open registrations reach 258,000, the winner's check would exceed the largest first place payout in games history.
That's great. All right,
Yeah.
good. That's awesome progress. Okay.
Yeah. So
well, great. You're up to date on everything. Appreciate you listening.
Yeah. I do have one quick PR.
Oh, let's do a PR.
I want to PR the Frasers.
Yes,
Matt
I heard
Sammy.
about this. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah, having their nuptials down in Mexico.
I thought it was already done. Like I had no idea they hadn't done that yet.
You know, we have another friend. We have another friend where it's like they're basically married, but they're not.
Mhm.
And you know, it's like you never know. Like you know, you see a ring, you don't. They're together. They're married. They're a family. You know, they're just making a formality, I guess. I don't know, but either way, a lot of good people down there in Mexico, and it seemed like it was a beautiful weekend. Well deserving for two beautiful humans, and yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations to them. Okay, that's going to do it for us. Thanks again to Boz. For Tommy, I'm Sean. Take care of each other. Be better, and we will talk to you guys next time.